Hello students, in my previous lecture I have told you about nature and characteristics of sampling, and in this lecture I am going to tell you about sampling techniques. There are basically two types of sampling techniques. One is probability or random sampling and the second is non-probability or non-random sampling. Probability is classified into three types: simple random sampling, stratified random sampling and cluster sampling, while non-probability sampling is divided into various types, that is purposive sampling, convenience sampling, snowball technique and quota sampling. Now what is the meaning of probability sampling? Probability sampling is one in which each and every member of the population is having the same probability of being selected in the sample. That, and one more important thing is that randomization is the key factor of probability type of sampling, and each individual of the group must have a known probability of being included in the sample. While in non-probability sampling is that type of sampling in which there is no way of estimating the probability of individuals being included in the sample. Such sample do not use randomization and it relies on personal judgment. So, in the non-probability sampling, uh, no equal chance is provided to different members of the population for being selected in the sample. Now, coming to the various types of probability sampling, the first is simple random sampling. In simple random sampling, all members of the group have the same chance of being selected in the study, and it can be done in two types: sampling with replacement and sampling without replacements. And we can understand it by a example. If we wish to draw a sample of 10 students from the 10th grade consisting of 50 students, we will place all 50 names in the container and draw out 10 names one by one. And for this, a blindfolded person may be asked to pick up one slip. Here the probability of each slip being selected is 1 upon 50. Suppose that after selecting the slip and noting the name written on the slip, the experimenter again returns it to the box. In this case, the probability of the second slip being selected is again 1 upon 50. But if it does not return the first slip to the box, the probability of the second slip becomes 1 upon 49. So in the previous case, when the slip was replaced into all 50 slip, it is known as sampling with replacement, and in the later condition, when the slip was not put into the container again, that procedure is known as sampling without replacement. In the first procedure, the probability of the each individual varies from the slip to slip. For example, the probability of first individual is 1 upon 50, the probability of second individual would be 1 upon 49, and so on. And the question now arises, which type of sampling technique should be referred: sampling with replacement or sampling without replacement? So I think sampling without replacement is more time consuming, because in sampling with replacement, the same name of the student comes again and again, and we have to put the slip again into the container and pick the new slip again. So it wastes a lot of time. So I think sampling without replacement serves the purpose of randomization better as compared to the sampling with replacement. But these are two possible techniques of randomization: sampling with replacement and sampling without replacement. Merits of simple random sampling: no personal biases are here, representative sample, more accuracy in statistical inferences. Because the process of randomization is completely implemented while selecting the individuals for the sample and then distributing the individuals into different experimental conditions. So the process of randomization is done in multiple steps. So no questions of personal biases, and it represents more the characteristics of the population as compared to other techniques. More accuracy in statistical inferences, that is the results obtained from this type of sample are more likely to predict the characteristic of the population. But there are certain demerits of simple random sampling also. It requires specifiable or known universe, and it requires more money and time. Why money and time? Because it needs a lot of effort for selecting the individual by using the process of randomization. So in one hand, while it increases the statistical inferences of the study, but on the other hand, it requires a lot of money and time as well. Second probability sampling is stratified random sampling. It is a technique in which whole population is divided into small homogeneous subgroups known as strata, and the respondents are selected randomly by small characteristics in each strata, and finally from each stratum using simple random is used to select the final sample. You can understand it by this example. For example, a population is having three strata on the basis of age, educational qualification, and their religion. So this type of population is forming three subgroups or three strata. So we would select uh, candidates from the first subgroup, that is on the basis of his age, second subgroup, that is on the basis of his educational qualification, and then on the basis of his religion. And all the candidates would be selected on the basis of randomization from each strata, and the nature of these strata would be homogeneous. That is, if there are one strata is having all the undergraduates, then all the member of the educational qualification would be having only those students who are undergraduates. In the same way, if second strata is having gender, then all the students would be either male or female. So these strata or the subgroups are homogeneous in nature. Merits of stratified random sampling: it is more representative, more precise, and detailed information of population can be obtained by studying through stratified random sampling. But it needs too much care in selecting strata, and it requires skill and expertise, which is very essential while using randomly the strata from the population. Now, the third type of random sampling is cluster sampling. It is used when population is very large. In it, the entire population of interest is divided into groups, and groups are selected randomly. And these selected groups are heterogeneous in nature. In cluster sampling, the clusters are primary sampling unit, and the units within clusters are the second sampling unit. I can let you understand by this example. Supposing we want to study the opinion of Indian students on some topic, for example, on sex education. So, first of all, we have to select cluster number 1. That is, if because our primary purpose is to study the opinion of Indian students. So, first of all, we have to select 4 or 5 states from the 29 states of India. So first step is to form the cluster 1, and in this cluster 1 we have to select randomly 4 or 5 states. Okay, then the cluster 2 would be formed. That cluster 2 would be consisting universities of these selected states. For example, if we have selected 5 states randomly, then in the second clusters we have to select randomly, supposing we decide 10 universities from each state. So 10 universities of each state would be selected randomly on this cluster number 2. Then cluster number 3, now we have to choose colleges affiliated to these randomly selected universities. So this would form the third cluster. So we can see that we have formed 3 clusters if we want to study such a huge purpose. So clusters are very broad, very huge, and but we are applying the process of randomization in selecting our cluster. So when the objective of the researcher is very broad and the population is very broad, we often select cluster sampling for the study. Cluster sampling is economical and time saving, and it reduces travel and administrative cost. But there are various demerits of cluster sampling as well. It is standard errors of the estimates are high compared to other sampling design, and it may not reflect the diversity of the universe, because the universe is very large, and by and large, if we select only 5 universities out of states, out of so many states, so I don't think that would be completely reflect the diversity of the universe. Now we will come to the types of non-random sampling. The first type of non-random sampling is purposive sampling. In purposive sampling, sample is selected which investigator thinks to be most typical of the universe. It is also known as judgment or deliberate sampling. That is, for example, we want to study the mental health of dual career couples. So in this purpose, dual career couples are serving our purpose. So whoever dual career couples come in contact with us, they are included in our study. So dual career couples are the typical of the universe, typicality of the universe, who are serving our purpose of the research. So whosoever is the fulfilling the purpose of the experiment or the research are included in this type of research. This is quick study and economical and time saving, and it requires a small number of sample units, but it is less reliable and less objective, and poor statistical inferences are drawn. Because if we are not having the process of randomization, the sample on which we are going to study the effect of certain thing upon mental health of dual career couples would not represent the entire community of dual career couples. Second type of non-probability sampling is convenience sampling. It involves choosing respondents at the convenience of the researcher. Researcher determines the required sample and simply collects data on that number of the individual who are easily available. Supposing, for example, if we want to do a study on adolescent, so all the adolescents come under the study. So whoever approaches us, or wherever we find adolescents, we contact them and collect the data. So this type of sampling is known as the convenience sampling. As I have told you earlier, that in non-probability sampling, the process of randomization is not done. Sample is selected only on the basis of convenience or purpose or whatever the criteria of the individual, but the sample is not chosen randomly. The process of randomization is not done while selecting the respondents from the population. The cost of convenience sampling is very low, it is very time saving, and it is extensively used because the people can easily approach it. It is approachable to the students as well. For example, the in the dissertation paper, all the students of MA are required to do data collection. So the process of randomization is not possible because they are not having this much of time and money so that they can do the process proper process of randomization. So it is extensively used because it is very convenient and it is very economical and time saving, but it restricts the power of generalization. The results we draw from the study of this type of sampling will not predict accurately about the nature and structure of the population. The third non-probability sampling is snowball technique. In this type of technique, the researcher identifies and selects the available respondents who meet the criteria for being included in the study. Number one step. Then the researcher asks for the referral of other individuals who meet the criteria. It is also known as the chain sampling or chain referral. For example, this individual is found suitable for the study. So the data was collected on this particular individual. And now this individual was asked whether you know any other individual like you. So this individual supposedly tells about two individuals. These two individuals are also included in the study. Then this individual asked about the individuals who are like him. He, for example, also suggests two people. In this way, the chain goes on and on until the required number of sample is collected by the researcher. That is why this is known as the snowball technique. Snowball technique is very difficult because the access to difficult to reach population through referrals is very difficult thing, but it is time saving. Once you find a individual and he is doing some type of individual, so you can give the reference of that person, that Mr. A has suggested your name, so kindly do the favor to complete the data. So this is time saving as well, but it is biased and it is not representative, and the generalization made on the basis of this type of technique are biased, and low statistical inferences are found. And the last is quota sampling. It is the process where a researcher gathers data from individuals who possess identified characteristics and quotas. It is just like the stratified sampling, except the process of randomization is not done. All the steps are the same. The population is divided into small subgroups, and those subgroups are homogeneous in nature, but the only difference is that in stratified random sampling, the respondents were selected by using the process of randomization, while in quota sampling the same process is done without implementing the process of randomization, because sometimes it is not possible to do the process of randomization. It is very useful when budget is low and no need of list of population elements required in stratified sampling. So it is time saving as well as money saving. But as far as we know, that this is not very objective technique, and as as it is true for all the non-probability type of sampling, the generalization power of quota sampling is not also good. So these were all the sampling techniques of probability and non-probability sampling, and hope it must be clear to you. Thank you.